everybody, it's Heather, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and this is my month. Sorry about that. So every month what I do is I put together a pumpkin kit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start it. So give me just a sec, let me get my, that works. Okay, perfect. So hopefully we won't have all the cutting out now. Let me just adjust my camera a tiny little bit and then we're ready. Okay, so tonight I have 3 cards to show you that we're gonna make together. And then I kind of got carried away and made a few more. So I've got some extras that I'll show you at the end as well. Let's see here. When you get your paper pumpkin kit, it comes with all sorts of pieces. I'll show you what I have left. Looks like my screen is a little fuzzy. Oh, there it is. It cleared up. Okay, so you get these 3-way cards, a trifold card. I don't think I have any of them together anymore. But they fold it up like this. So you can see it's a trifold. And with those pieces, the main card, you also received envelopes that are in the Flirty Flamingo, and then they have the gold foiling XOXO on the inside. Then you got these sheets of die cuts that there were 2 different sizes of hearts, one in Blushing Bride and one in Flirty Flamingo, and then this, I think it's the gray slate or gray granite arrow. Also got several stamps here. Let's see. I have a lot of them on blocks because I'm using them tonight. But there's hearts, there's XO, there's the arrow, love you, for you, friend, sending you love, more, some little polka dots, little heart with an arrow going through it. So there's quite a little variety there. Doris, my camera was being kind of wonky when I talked about the colored pencils. Were you able to hear what I said about getting them ordered? Because you had requested to see something with them, and so I did get them ordered. I should have them soon, and I'll be able to do some demonstrations for you. So thank you for the suggestion. So also this kit also comes with some vellum hearts. More of these cutouts. Some really, really pretty kind of opalescent sequins. I love these. And then let's see. Oh, and then there were also these die cuts where they're just white hearts with a little gold trim there. So that's what came in the kit. But you know me, I did something a little different. I like to, think outside the box and come up with new ideas. So the first card that came with the Stampin' Up! Instructions, just so that you get an idea of what Stampin' Up! Suggests. This was one card, and it folds this way with the envelope, and then this was the other card. And so there you have them. They're pretty simple this month. So I tried to elaborate a little more with the ones that I made. So let's go ahead and get started. The first one here that we're going to make has a little belly band. I stamped my envelope. This nice little belly band to open it up. And it's a different kind of trifold. So let me show you how I made that. Let's go ahead and do our outside of our envelope first. And I'm going to need just a little bit of scrap paper. And I'm going to use my Blushing Bride ink. And I have already put the XO on my block. Here's one thing that I would recommend. The X and O are completely separate stamps. So I laid mine down on my paper the way so they looked straight to me, and then put them on my block. And then I left them on my block for the rest of my stamping because I didn't want to have to line everything up perfectly again. So now we're just gonna Stamp some X's and O's all over this envelope. Okay, so now I'll clean off my stamp and set my envelope aside. Then I have a card base. My card base is the Blushing Bride, and it's 5.5 by 4.25. And then I have a piece to mount onto that that's vanilla, very vanilla, and it is 4 by 5.25. We're going to put it right on there. I have a gold strip that we're going to use for the belly band. Then I have one of the vellum hearts and one of the Blushing Bride hearts. So we're going to start with these. Now let me show you how I did this little trifold and how I cut them, because obviously I had to cut them to make them fit right. So, oops, let's put away the ink pad. Hey, Eric and Talina, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Okay, let's move some of these pieces out of the way for the moment. And I'm going to go ahead and just cut these apart like this. I just find where it's scored and I line it up in my scoring blade, or in my, oh, what do you call that? The little track. And I'm cutting these apart to make them 3 separate pieces. This was easier to line up during the day when I had daylight hours and it was a little brighter in here. Okay, next what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my piece of Very Vanilla and I'm going to lay this on here. Let me see here. I'm going to lay it on here to see how I want, where I want it and how I want it, because what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to mark the back. Just little marks. Because that tells me where I'm going to put a scoring line to fold that back. So now let's see what I would want to do with this one. I'm going to want to score here. But I'm going to want to cut here. And so let's go ahead and get these scored and cut and everything we need to do. First, I'm going to cut this one where it needs to be cut. Line it up with the track. Now I'm going to score this edge right where I made my marks. Am I in the shot? Make sure that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, also, this side is going to show when you open your card, so I recommend going ahead and erasing your little pencil marks. Oh, and by the way, I recommend doing it in pencil so that you can erase them. Let's go ahead and score the other one. Okay, let's see here. Okay, erase this one as well. Sorry about the wiggling table. Okay, so now I'm just going to fold it at the score marks. I'm going to take my bone folder, give that a nice crisp fold there. Okay, now the way these are going to fit on my card is like this. I want this one to come down a little bit because I didn't want it going off the edge. So you can see that's how it's going to piece together. So let's go ahead and put some adhesive on these pieces. And just line it back up. Now this piece, let's put some adhesive on here. Remember, this one needs to line up with the bottom because you cut off a little bit. There we go. And now we've made the trifold. what I should have done before I added those is I should have done the stamping on the inside of my card. Just because if I mess it up, I could always just grab another piece pretty easily. So let's go ahead and get those pieces stamped. Give me a second to find them here. What I have is I have a stamp that's an outline of a heart and a stamp that is what you would fill in the heart with. I'm going to take my ink. Oh, here it is. I put it away. Who would have known? Hey, Robin, welcome. Thanks for joining us tonight. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I want to stamp these little hearts all the way across the page, but I want to make sure I do a straight line. You could use your Stamparatus for that, or what I'm going to do is I just have my ruler. I'm going to line this up where I think I want my hearts to be. I'm going to do it down a little bit because I don't want them to show when the card is closed. Okay, now I've got my ruler. I'm going to go ahead and stamp these. And when I line it up, I'm going to have the edges come right together. See, my ruler isn't really doing a whole lot for me tonight, but that's okay. It's going to be kind of wonky, but that's okay. We'll live. I hope. Okay, then what I did is, hang on here. I took the solid heart and I just filled in the one in the middle. There. You could fill them all in if you want. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and glue this down to my card base. This card is actually pretty quick and easy. Put my ink away. There we go. Okay. Now what I want to do is create my belly band. And what I did is this strip is 10 inches long, I think. Let's see here. 9 inches long, which is just a little bit more than what I need to meet in the middle because I do like it to overlap a little. So I'm going to fold the first piece over. Then I'll fold the second piece over. Be sure not to do it too tight because if it's too tight, it's hard to get the belly band off and on the card. So I folded it. Now I'm going to use my bone folder to get those nice sharp folds. Making sure it lines up there. Now I'm going to use some tear and tape. And I'm going to put one on the gold side of this piece, and then I'm going to put another little piece on the white side of the other end. Use my bone folder to really get it in there good. And my Take Your Pick tool, which this is my must-have tool. Everybody needs one. And I'm using it to take the release tape off where I put the tear and tape. So now, ooh, I thought it was going to overlap a little better than that. That's okay. Just don't want it to be too sticky on the inside and then stick to the card. So let's see here. Okay, now I'll slide it over the card just to make sure I like the fit, and I do. Now I'm going to take my little blushing bride heart and my vellum heart. And I'm just going to put my glue right in the center where it's not going to show. And I'm sticking the blushing bride one right there on the vellum. Then what I did is I took the X and O stamp and I wanted to make a background. I'll show it to you up close. I don't know if you can see it. And I stamped off first, so it would be just very, very light in the background. You can kind of see that, but I don't like it that light. So I don't think I'm going to stamp it off this time, and we're going to see how it turns out. So, got my XO, put it right here in the middle. There we go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out my Versamark and we're going to emboss the sentiment with gold embossing powder. Before I do that though, what I'm going to do, one thing I found earlier today when I was working on these is this ink was still a little bit wet. So when I put my embossing powder on, it tried to emboss the X and the O as well. And I don't want that. So I'm going to go ahead and dry it up a little bit with my heat tool just so that I can make sure I don't have my embossing powder stick to that. So bear with me, it's going to get a little loud. Okay, that should do the trick on that. Now what I'm going to do is find my embossing buddy. See where that is. There we go. This is not something that Stampin' Up! Sells, but you can buy them on Amazon. And I don't even remember what it was called on Amazon. When Stampin' Up! Carried them, we called them embossing buddies. And it's just a little pillow that is filled with some sort of powder that takes away the static on your paper, so you don't end up with little extra blotches of embossing powder where you don't want them. So as you can see, I just rub it on there a little bit. Now I'm going to take my Versamark ink and the message I wanted to stamp, let's find it here. I took two messages, actually. I took the love you and friend. I lined them up and then put them on my block together, so I only had to stamp it once versus stamping each part separately. I'm going to just stamp it right in the center over that X and the O. Put that away. Now I'm going to get my scrap paper. Okay. Now I'm just going to pour this on here. Shake off the excess. There we go. And then pour this back into the container. We used years and years and years ago, we used to have a tray for this that was really good because you'd pour it, you'd do your work on your tray, and then the tray had a little, not a spout, but like a little outlet kind of thing that was plugged. You'd unplug it and pour it back into your container. It was really slick. Okay, so it's going to get hot again here while I emboss. This is a fairly small area, so it doesn't take too terribly long. Come back. Okay. And that's all the embossing we're going to do tonight. So now I want to stick this on my belly band. So we're going to put some adhesive right in the center again. Right here. Looks like I got some adhesive a little far over. Okay, now I'm going to take some of those handy dandy little sequins. Hang on. I accidentally put them away instead of leaving them out so I could use them. And we're just going to put a few on here. Whoops. Put a couple on here. Now we'll put a couple on the rest of the card just to give it a little something something. Come on, you. There. And that's card number 1. Pretty easy, and you still have this piece left over. You can die cut out of it. You could use it. There's a lot of things you could do with that extra piece that's left over. Okay. See, and we've got it with our little envelope. And there you go. I guess I could have made my band a little tighter. Maybe I'll try that. I don't know if I can do it with everything glued together here already, but... Okay, let's try this. There, that's a little bit more snug. Not a whole lot, but a little anyway. Let's see. Okay. So there we go. Card number 1. Let's move on to card number 2. Oh, good. I'm glad you like it, Talina. Okay, hang on. I have a chipped nail here that I will sit here and pick at all night if I don't file it smooth. It will drive me crazy, and then in turn it will drive you crazy. Okay, next, card number 2. This one I wanted to kind of deviate from what Paper Pumpkin looked like and get rid of most of the colors that it used. Still use some, but I felt that what the kit came with was very elegant looking, and I wanted to do something sort of fun. So this is the outside of the card, and this is the inside. So let's go ahead and we're going to start with all of our stamping. We've got the envelope to stamp, we have the inside of the card to stamp, and we have this little white, basic white strip. So let's just get all that stamping done, and I'm going to use Flirty Flamingo, Coastal Cabana, and somewhere is my Blushing Bride. There it is. Put it away again, and I couldn't find it. Okay, let's move some of this stuff out of the way. Okay, now I want that solid heart, and you want to start with your lightest ink. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and, let's see here. Got my scrap paper. Now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to stamp these hearts just randomly all over my envelope. Because remember, we're going to fill it in with all 3 colors. So you want to leave room for the other colors. One kind of, that's okay. Ooh, a good thing our paper has 2 sides. Okay, and now, you know what I should have done is everything with one color on all the different pieces that I have, but I did not. Okay, so now we're going to do Coastal Cabana, and I'm just fitting it in here. I don't like the way that turned out a whole lot. Crazy little heart. That one's like super dark now because I've done 3 layers of it. Okay, so move the envelope out of the way. Let's go ahead and do the other 2 pieces that we've got, and let's do both the dark and the light, or do both pieces and do all the colors. So I'm going to put some Blushing Bride on here. Let's do some Blushing Bride now on this piece. This is the inside of the card, and so I'm really just putting some hearts down the side here. There. That mostly covered up what we had going on, so that works for me. Oh, poop. I didn't mean to do that color. Whoopsie, whoopsie, whoopsie. Actually, I don't want to do that. So now let's go for the Coastal Cabana. Okay, do the Coastal Cabana on this one. There we go. Now let's put the ink pads away. Oops. Okay. Now we can start working on the construction of the card. So what we have here is, first we have our card base, which is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4, so right in the middle. And we're going to go ahead and take this piece, and before we put it on, what I want to do is first I'm going to take my dark Flirty Flamingo blending pen, and I'm just going to flick all over it, just to get a little bit extra color, so it's not that stark white. Then I'm going to do the same thing with my Wink of Stella. Okay. Let's see, we've got, oh yeah, we've got plenty of sparkle on there. Good, good, good. Okay, now let's take this piece and we're going to go ahead and give it a second to dry. So let's put the other pieces together. This piece, this little narrow one that we put all the hearts on, is going to go on this Coastal Cabana strip. And it's going to go right there on the front of our card. We can go ahead and put that on right now. Kind of line it up here. Okay, I think this is probably dry enough that we can go ahead and put it on our card. Let's put this one on the inside. And you could stamp a little message inside or just leave it blank for handwriting a message. I write really big, so I try to leave bigger spaces to write the sentiment. Okay. Whoops. Okay. Okay, set that aside. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take, this is one of the hearts, the die cut hearts that came in the kit. And then we're going to take one of the die cut hearts that were white with the gold trim there. And one page of mine, the hearts were off center and you can see where it cut it weird. Not a big deal. I want to use the back of it anyway. So if that happens to you, you can still use those pieces. Now we're going to go ahead and start gluing some of these little strips on. Maybe. And these are little strips that I cut 1/4 inch wide. And they are Coastal Cabana, Flirty Flamingo, and Blushing Bride. And you can see I'm butting them up to next to one another. And when I cut strips like this, I always try to cut them a little bit long because I would rather have them a little bit long and trim them down than have them not quite long enough. For some reason, these stripes like this remind me of the 80s. Anyone else? They make me think of those knee socks, the white athletic socks, you know, that had the stripes at the top. Okay, we've got one more to put on and then it's ready. Well, ready to be trimmed. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I should have used my silicone mat because of course these ends are sticking to my paper. Now I'm just going to cut them off so it's not too tragic, but it is easier if you use a silicone mat. And my scissors, I'm just going to trim around the edge here. So there's one. Little bit of a pointy edge there that I can just trim off by cutting a little tiny bit. Okay, now let's get the other side. There. Okay, now all these little tiny pieces with glue on them want to stick to everything. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to pick one of the colors that I'm going to accent with the Coastal Cabana, and I'm sorry, with the Wink of Stella. And on my first card, I did it on the Flirty Flamingo, but I think this time I'm going to do it on the Coastal Cabana. All I'm doing is I'm painting it onto the stripes here. And I know you can't really see too well on the video what it's doing. Once I'm done, I'll hold it up closer to the camera and hopefully it'll show a little bit better. Oh yeah, I don't know. Let's see, can you see that sparkle on the screen? Oh yeah, I saw a little sparkle there. Now I'm also going to do it with the hearts. I'm going to color in just the ones that are Coastal Cabana. You could, of course, color all of them if you wanted. I just thought it was kind of fun to just pick one color and have those ones accented with the Wink of Stella. Oh yes, nice and sparkly, because we like sparkles. Okay, so while that's drying, I'm going to go ahead and mount this onto my Flirty Flamingo die cut heart. Okay, and one thing I want to point out, the kit does come with envelopes, but I didn't feel like the envelopes always matched what I was doing with the cards. So that's why I've added in some that are either very vanilla or basic white and use those instead. But the other thing you can do is the envelopes, the inside of them has the XOXO in gold foil, and you can cut off the edges of the envelope so that it opens up and use that as a pattern, which I'm going to show you in one of my other cards. Okay, so now let's put some dimensionals on here. Oh, come on. Getting that first one off is a little tricky sometimes. I have white all over my fingers. You know me, I go crazy with the dimensionals. I have to put 500 on my card. Okay, so now I'm just going to tear these off. You're not missing anything exciting. I'm doing this off screen, but I promise I'm just throwing stuff in the garbage. And now I'm going to go ahead and center this on here. And let's do the little for you at the bottom. Again, I should have done that before I mounted or before I pieced it all together, because if something goes wrong, I'm kind of stuck with it. Okay, there we go. So that's card number 2. Got the sparklies and the hearts inside. There we go. So 2 cards. Now we're about ready to launch into our third one. Let's see here. Clean off my stamp. Now the third one we're going to make tonight, I did a little bit of extra embossing with this one. So here's the envelope, and I used the dies. Let me show you what dies I used. The Bouquet of Love dies. They also come with, when you buy them, you buy a set where it's the dies like this, and then there's also an embossing folder that it's one of those hybrid ones where you can cut out the center. Let me open it up and show you. You can cut out the center, you can leave the center. You can see where that heart is. If you take, let me show you here. If you take this die and you put it in here and it kind of locks into place, then it will cut out the heart in the center for you, which also gives you then a detailed heart that you can use as decoration somewhere else. Or if you don't put that on there, then it just kind of gives this image in your sheet, but it doesn't cut anything out. Oh, put this away here. Okay. So let's move these things out of the way. I went ahead and cut these already so that we would save a little bit of time. Oops, I forgot my envelope. Let me grab an envelope real quick. Okay, so these are the envelopes I was talking about with the gold foil on the inside, and it goes, you can see it goes all the way down. If you just cut off these edges, then it'll fold open and you can use this on your card also, which I did in one that I'm going to show you guys in a little bit. Let's go ahead and do our envelope first. I've got a lot of pieces here. I used the heart die cut to cut out a couple of the hearts that were already done, these hearts, and I cut the smaller hearts out of them. See? Okay. The one in the middle that said XOXO, I just cut it into a strip like this. I have some ribbon. I have several little hearts here with the pattern on them, and one that is just well, I have 2 that are the basic, the very vanilla. So for the envelope, we're going to use one of the ones that's plain and both of the ones that have some design to them. And I used the Sending Love stamp. Let's find that. Sending You Love. Okay. And I'm going to stamp that with the Flirty Flamingo. Move all these pieces. Make sure I've got it lined up here. Okay, it's a little low, but it's serviceable. Okay, now let's go ahead and put the ink pad away for now. And let's glue these hearts on. I like to start with the middle one because then I can kind of line up everything else around it. So I'll put that right there. Okay, then the other two. There. And now that envelope is ready to just sit there and dry. This is the piece that I ran through with the embossing folder that I was showing. If you don't put that little heart die cut in there, it leaves the image right there like that. So we've got that. We're kind of going to cover it up actually, but that's good. So got my half a sheet of cardstock, very vanilla. It's 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Okay, good, Talina. I'm glad that you're liking the cards tonight. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and move this out of the way, and I'm going to go ahead and glue this piece down. Well, I'm going to wait to glue it down. Let's tie the ribbon first. And this is our new 1/8 inch ribbon. It comes in a 2-pack. You get a roll of the Blushing Bride and a roll of Misty Moonlight. And I love this. It's really soft. It's easy to work with, but I love that it's so fine so you can do smaller bows. So now I'm just going to kind of play with my bow for a minute, get it the way I want it. And you know, don't worry if it's kind of loosey-goosey because I'm going to show you how to fix that. Okay, let's see. I don't like the way this bow is laying. It's kind of giving me fits. Okay. And let's go ahead and trim the tails on that. I'm going to scooch it over just a little bit. Now, if it was really loose and you didn't like how it was hanging, what you can do then is come to the back and just snip it in half, pull it tight, and then tape it down. No one's going to see that back where it's taped down, and it makes it nice and easy to get a nice taut ribbon. I kind of like the way this one turned out, so I'm not going to do that this time around. Find my adhesive. We're going to go ahead and glue this on. Some people prefer to use the liquid glue when they're dealing with a piece that they've embossed like this because it does kind of seep into the edges, in all those little nooks and crannies a little bit better. That's totally up to you. I found that the Seal Plus seems to work fine. Okay, now I have my other hearts that I just for a minute want to lay them here and see where I want them. And I'm basically just going to put them like that. I want to, oh, I forgot my punch. Okay, so I have my XOXO. Let's go ahead and these edges in. So there's one side. We'll create the little banner edge on the other side now. Okay, that's going to go here, and then these two are going to go on the inside. Let's go ahead and do the inside really quick. All I did is glued these little guys down in the corner. Just gives the card a little interest on the inside. There we go. Now let's go ahead and get these hearts on here. The first heart I'm just going to go ahead and glue down regular with my Seal Plus. The second one I'm going to use some dimensionals. Oh, they're there. Okay, so put some dimensionals on here. Okay, let me get all these little backs off. And we're going to put this one on over the ribbon, but under the bow. I think this is where I want it. Now we're going to take that XOXO, we're going to put it here. We're going to use dimensionals as well. Okay, going to peel those backs off. And now I'm just going to line this up in the center of the card. And there we have it. There's our third card, everybody. Pretty quick and easy tonight, huh? So let me go ahead and clean up here a little bit because I want to show you all the cards, remind you what we made tonight, but then I also want to be able to show you some other ones that I made when I was playing around today. Okay, so right now one of my favorite stamp sets is the Rainbows. It's like called Rainbow of Happiness, I think is what the bundle is called. And it comes with these dies, and there's some stamps that match. And then also we have our basic borders dies that make a really cool cloud. Let me show you what I did with that. I'm really tickled with how this one turned out. Ooh, ah. I've taught my husband to ooh and ah when he looks at stuff. So what I did is I took the card bases that came in the kit and I cut the rainbow stripes with those. I cut the clouds using that basic borders die set that I just showed you, and I did them in the very vanilla. I did it in the Blushing Bride, and then I also did the inside of the envelopes with the XOXO. Made a little banner there. And then for the inside, I took one of the hearts on the trifold card that said XOXO, and I just trimmed the edges a little bit and stuck it down on my card. And then for my envelope, I just stamped XOXO all the way across the bottom. So we have that one. Let's put it so you can at least see it. Okay, then another one, I used the dots and checks, or checks and dots embossing folder. I did a little gatefold card. Whoops, little gatefold card. Oh, I forgot to do the inside of it. Well, I'll have to do that later. But I used our new, this is a new background die that we have, and it is called, oh, I lost it. I don't know where it's at. I lost it. So I can't tell you what it's called, but it's in our new January to June catalog. I also took, this is one of the hearts from the trifold piece that I just cut it out and then used the dots embossing folders to emboss it and glued it down on my card. Used the vellum and one of the little die cut hearts. And then this tag is actually one of the dies that is, where is it? I must have put those dies away. Oh, I see it. It's one of the, it's this die right here that is in the Bouquet of Love set. So that's that card. And I just put a little bit of designer series paper on the envelope flap. And then finally, the last card I have for you that I made is this one. And I want to do kind of a different color palette than what I had been doing. I'd been doing a lot of lighter colors. So this one is Flirty Flamingo and Night of Navy. And these little, these are die cuts that came in the kit. And this is a pocket fold card. What that is this piece pulls out and you can write your message on there. And then you just tuck it away inside the pocket. So that's another one that I created today when I was playing with all my cards. So we have these ones that we made tonight. This one. And finally, let me put the belly band back on here. My belly band's a little tight on this one. Oh, it looks like one of my little, oh, here it is. I was gonna say one of my sequins fell off. It just moved. It wasn't supposed to do that. So there we have it. There are 3 cards. What does everybody think? You know, Talina, there was something in the back of my head that made me think that at one point in time I had an article of clothing that was those two, the Night of Navy and the Flirty Flamingo colors together, because I know I've seen it before, but I couldn't place where it was. But I thought, well, I'll go with it and see how it turns out. And I really liked how it did. So that's all I have for you guys this month as far as Paper Pumpkin goes. Remember that next month's kit, you have until the 10th of February to order it. It looks like it's going to be a safari theme with some safari animals. I don't know if they're going to be real life style or if they're going to be more cartoony. We haven't really gotten much of a sneak peek this month. So I will probably be just as surprised as you when mine shows up on my doorstep. Does anybody have any questions about anything that we did tonight? Oh, Doris, I'm glad that you love it. Give everybody a minute. Oh, and Robin, it looks like she does too. Oh, thank you guys. If you liked what you saw tonight, please help me out by liking this video or sharing the video, going onto YouTube and following. If you subscribe to my channel on YouTube, that helps too. It kind of tells YouTube, or it tells the people at YouTube, hey, this is worth watching because people are liking it, and they make it available to even more people to see it, and that helps me to grow my business. So anything you can do like that to help me, I sure do appreciate it. If you have any supplies that you need to order and you don't have a demonstrator in the United States, I would love to earn your business. You can go to my website at heathersides.stampinup.net. If your order is under $150, please use this host code. It helps me to earn the things that I want to be giving away as freebies to my customers. But if your order is over $150, don't use that code, because Stampin' Up! Has some rewards for you that you will get, and I want to make sure that you get them. And speaking of rewards, remember that right now it's Celebration, which means we have a whole catalog of free gifts, stamps and paper sets, and stamps and paper sets. that you can earn for free for every $50 you spend, and there's no limit to how many you can earn. So this is a great time to stock up on your supplies and take advantage of all those free goodies that you get with Celebration. If you are unfamiliar with Celebration and you want one of the little brochures with pictures of all the free stuff, just let me know. I'd be happy to send one to you. Thank you, Doris, for sharing my video. I really, really appreciate that. So if you need catalogs, just let me know. I'm happy to send them out. If you don't have any questions, I'm going to go ahead and call it good tonight. I will be back next month with next month's Paper Pumpkin. I kind of have to be sort of loose on the days of when I do it because with all the shipping issues that are going on, I never quite know when I'm going to get my Paper Pumpkin. So right now it's coming toward the end of the month like this one did. So I will keep you in the loop when I have mine and when I'm going to go live with it again. But you can also join me every Wednesday where I make 3 cards, non-paper pumpkin cards, to give you more ideas of what you can do with your supplies. So I hope you guys all have a great week, and I'll see you on Wednesday. Bye-bye.